All right, welcome to our next blueprint. This is a really specific one, and we've got a really amazing guest here for this one. What we're talking about today is our calling in life, which honestly, I know we're throwing that label on there, but this is a little bit deeper than that and a lot more stuff that we're going to talk about outside of all that. But before we even get into what the blueprint is, we just want to be able to share some of our stories and kind of get started with this. My guest here today is probably one of my dearest friends out here in New York. This is Jay, and really what we're going to do is just kind of talk through some of our stories, some of our attention, and even be able to share with you some of what God's helping to direct us. And just to be clear, I think we have to at least give the disclaimer, we haven't figured this out.
At all.
Yeah, so if you feel like you're confused and you're like, what do I do with my life? That's okay. The ultimate goal of this whole blueprint, the whole point is to be able to say this, is that we live our life the way that God intended, the way he intended. So with that, let's just share some of our own stories. Let's just kind of, I'm doing all the talking. Jay, help me out here.
Yes.
As you typically do.
So I've always struggled with what God wants me to do. I've always struggled with what's God's will? What do I do next in life?
Okay.
Still struggling with it today, this very day on this Sunday. Just struggling with hearing God's voice and what my voice is. And I want to be sensitive to that.
For life decisions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Life decisions, career decisions. My biggest one has always been career decisions. I've always okay, God, what is it that you want me to do? Sure. I've always asked the question, waiting for an answer.
Right.
But I feel like asking God and just sitting and waiting, has brought me to where I am today, right? So I've struggled with that for as long as I can remember, and one thing I've learned throughout that entire process was that no matter what we may think, God has the ultimate say, and God has the final say in our plans and our career decisions. Mm-hmm. Like I said, I still struggle with it on a daily. I'm still learning how to deal with it, but and it's not perfect, right? Every day is
no, and the trajectory. I think if we had to map out for each one of our lives at certain points, whenever we became aware enough to see ahead in the future to think, where am I going to end up? I don't think any of us are exactly where we thought.
No.
I think back even, I was a little bit naive until probably right when I graduated college, and that's when I'd say my career path or whatever kind of got started. And I throw myself in probably a little bit more of a unique category because when I was 19, got a really specific word from God, start this church out in New York City. Mm-hmm. And the fantasy of that type of a story is you got that word and then everything just lined up into place.
I wish.
No. I think if God tells you something at a young age, it is because he knows once you get older, you're not going to get there.
No.
Unless he told you and gave you a trajectory, gave you some type of a thing
100%.
To be aware of or looking at, we're not going to end up there on our own. And I think for me, the 6 years of most growth were right after college before I moved to New York, which were 6 years of I'm trying to figure out my life. And so I had graduated college and I knew God told me to plant a church in New York City.
Yeah.
And I graduated in Philadelphia and I went, I'm not ready for that. And I think that's valid, but I also at the same point was full of so much fear towards big, scary New York City.
It is scary. It is scary.
I remember I came out here once when I was in college, and even after that, I was just I'm not ready yet. And there's such a, gosh, we could stay on the whole I'm not ready for what God told me to do for ages.
I was going to say, that's a whole
of course you're not ready. You're never, and whatever is ready.
Yeah, it's not really ready.
No, you're not. And ready is, I think what we're trying to say is I just want to be in control. And it's you're not in control.
Yeah.
And if you're trying to wait till you're in control, you're never going to feel like you are.
See, that's my issue, is that I try to control everything.
I think that's everybody's issue.
And once you realize that you're not in control, things shift.
Yes. Mm-hmm. The issue is, even if you realize you're not in control, then what's the next thing you want to do?
Control the next
You want to get more control. That's just the hard part. Yeah. And I remember I spent 3 years, and they were probably the most chaotic years of my life, where I was trying to make it work in Pittsburgh. And the church I was at, love and adore, have no issues with it. But I was running into closed door after closed door in so many different spots, where I remember I started off working part-time as a kids pastor, and I was like, this just doesn't feel fulfilling enough to me. Like, I have all these talents and gifts and whatever. Like, I thought so highly of myself.
Don't we all?
Yeah. I'm God's gift of creation. And I was just the whole time like, this just doesn't. And I would put the blame on other people, where I would start saying things like, this person isn't giving me my fair chance. Or I remember the hardest thing for me was I would look at other opportunities that people would get, and I would say, why aren't people giving me those opportunities? Yeah. And then I would use that as evidence to say, if they won't even let me do that, I probably shouldn't go to New York.
Yeah.
And
do you think we're like that with God too? Because we see God giving other people like opportunities that maybe, and I want to be careful in the way that I say this, but like
no,
that don't deserve that opportunity, right? So it's like, you know,
we know what people deserve.
Yeah,
I know what you deserve.
I know who this person truly is, yet God is blessing them, and I'm not perfect, right? But I'm trying to live my life as Jesus-centered as possible. And then it's like there's a closed door or multiple closed doors. There's multiple obstacles that are always in the way, but then the next person gets it easier.
This is the difficult part that I, now looking back, can see, because the closed doors were, and the opportunities are always ones that you can always see. As far as I would say to myself, I'm watching that person who is being asked to preach.
Yeah.
Or I was working part-time and I really wanted a full-time job, and I wasn't getting it. And I was watching as other people are getting full-time jobs, and I'm going, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with all this stuff? Now I look back and I'm going, God, thank you.
Yeah.
Because the issue, look, I've heard people say this in church before, where they're like, how can God bless you if you're in a spot of disobedience? I wasn't in some like rebellious place of like disobedience. I was in this spot of going, I don't feel good enough to step into this calling that you have for me. I don't feel good enough to step into it. And I think what God does most of the time is it's not a game. It's more just recognition of God mostly looking at me saying, Colin, if I let you be too comfortable in Pittsburgh, you're not going to leave.
Yeah.
You're going to stay here. You're going to look at this place and say, this is where God has done all the good things in my life. This is all and mind you, it's not like Pittsburgh where I was at was some horrible place. My family's all there.
Yeah.
I grew up there. My concept of life and understanding
is all there.
Yeah, everything. So for me, it was this really hard reality shift whenever I finally made the choice. And when I say finally made the choice, let me just backtrack real quick on that. I gave up on this. Like, I don't know that I've fully been able to transparently say that of when I was, 25 or 26, I was ready to find any other job, because I was very much saying, I'm not the guy that can go do that thing in New York.
Right.
I'm not good enough for that. I'm not skilled enough for that. I had a profile of the person that should do this, and it wasn't me. And I remember getting to the point where I was looking at teaching jobs, because I'd worked as like a 5th grade science teacher for a year, and I was like, I think I might want to do something with ministry. There was another church that I was kind of like this interim youth pastor in. I was like, maybe I should go there. All of these different things. And then there was a full-time position that opened up that I was highly considering at like the church that I was at. And I remember there was a night where this guy who really gifted in prophetic ministry was just praying over everybody. And typically with that stuff, there's a lot of like general things. They're not really getting specific. And I remember he got to the very end. I was like the second to last person that he prayed for. And he said, just at the very end of it, he's like, and he doesn't know me. And he was like, you need to reconsider what you're doing with church planting. And I was like, come on.
It's like I thought I was done with this.
Yeah, I thought I ran far enough away. I thought
that it forgot about me and I forgot about it.
Which is its own issue of there's like a timeline in which we think God can actually, he called me to this within like my peak of humanity. And if I missed it, then God will kind of reshape it. But God is way too patient and is very much the God over time. And we forget about that. But
we do.
I remember he said that to me and I was like, okay. And he came up to me later and was like, hey, what was that about? And typically these guys,
It's like you got put on the spot
yeah,
again.
and typically these guys, like if you were to go up to one of these guys afterwards and be like, can you explain more? They'd be like, I don't remember what I said to you.
No, he came to you and was like, I need to know.
Yeah. And so
Yeah.
I was just honest. I was like, I don't think I can do this. I don't think I'm good enough for this. I'm not skilled enough for it. And he just told me, he's like, you should just try.
Yeah.
You just see it. So I took another 3 years after that where I was I took a job and I told them I will commit to this for 3 years. And after that 3 years, I'm going to New York. I did not have stuff lined up.
Yeah.
When I tell you, I was in that process, and I remember a year and a half before I moved out here, I didn't have enough money saved up. I didn't have a job lined up out here. I didn't have an apartment lined up out here, which I also didn't understand how crazy it is finding an apartment out here.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and I
Welcome to
remember-
New York City.
Yeah, honestly, why not? And so 3 months before I moved out here, all that I got in place first was I have an apartment out here, and that was it. And then I moved out here and all by myself.
Yeah.
But what I experienced within like the first like year of actually moving out here was all of the things I wanted in Pittsburgh that I never got. All of the validation, all of the opportunities. All of a sudden God was like, not only are these just like blessings for you, these are opportunities that now in this context I will give to you because this is where I wanted you at in the first place.
Yeah.
And it means so much more whenever we're actually obediently following God. With that being said, there's a lot of other pieces that have been happening, but
Yeah.
that was, I was very much at a spot where I was so ready to walk away from it. I remember sitting down with one of my mentors, sitting across the table, just being like, hey, can I not do this? And he told me, he's like, you have a choice, but you will always look back and you will wonder, what if I did it?
Yeah, like that what if question that I feel
So much
so
worse.
many of us, like, what if I just tried this, or what if I, did that? I feel like, as you were talking, excuse me, I feel like the answer to a lot of the questions, like, God, what is it that you want me to do, or what should I do with my life? I just feel like we gotta get up and move, right? Into the unknown, right?
100% agree.
And I'm talking to myself here, so it's
100%
not
agree.
just for the people that are listening, but like I'm actually talking to myself. It's like, you're gifted, you're talented, you do this, you do that. It's like, is it scary? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Should you run full force with God by your side leading the way? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, that's a lot easier said than done. Because,
Big time.
going back to what we said earlier, it sounds good, but then we want to control the outcome that God has for us. We want to try to control God's timeline,
Yeah.
and it doesn't work that way.
Especially when that outcome is something that we have, especially in the church, there is now, because there's like this thing that exists that's called church culture, which is completely different,
Yep.
unfortunately, than having a relationship with Jesus and following him and becoming a disciple of Jesus. There's this church world of things.
Yeah.
You can see it on Instagram, all this stuff of conferences and all this. And I'm not trying to say that any of those things are bad, but oftentimes that's whenever we have things that are said to us, like God's put a big calling on your life.
Yeah.
Immediately the association with that is, I'm going to be on stage, or I'm going to be making lots of money,
Yeah.
or I'm going to get these crazy opportunities to be at these types of events or these types of venues, or I'm going to get like notoriety and fame. Like, no, like
It doesn't become a calling at that point. It becomes, hey, I'm good at what I do and I'm just getting paid and recognized for it.
Which
at
someti-
that point,
which-
you've completely eliminated Jesus out of that.
there's a way to navigate that, but it is really hard to separate whenever God speaks from what we've seen.
Yeah.
It is really a lot of times, and I had a mentor that told me this whenever, like, he just said, whenever you get a word from God, he was like, don't add anything to it and don't put a timeline on it. Those were his two biggest things he told me, was anytime you get a word from God that's especially about something with your future, don't add to it. Because it is really easy, especially even with the call or the why am I here on this earth?
Yeah.
It's so easy for us to just add on top of that of like, and it's gonna look like this.
Yeah.
Because even the context of like, okay, Colin, like go start a church in New York City. It was then the question of, well, what kind of church?
Yeah.
Is this we're gonna get like 10 people in my living room and it's gonna stay 10 people till I'm 65.
Right.
Am I able to be content with that?
Yeah.
Like, is that the plan? Like, because it doesn't mean that, and I'm not saying it's that, but I'm also not saying that it's the, we're going to have 4,000 people or whatever.
These big arenas and
And neither one of those are reflective of whether or not it was successful, or especially it wasn't reflective on whether or not it's a big calling.
Yeah.
Like, it's amazing how much we do add to the things that God actually says.
Yeah.
Which for me was a struggle whenever you're trying to follow God and you are trying to add in and fill in the pieces rather than understand I'm not the one who even called me in the first place.
Yeah. But I also think that's human nature, right? Like, I just think, okay, we hear this from God, but then it's like we kind of want to give a suggestion to God, and it's like, well, it doesn't work that way.
I would say
like, God doesn't need our suggestion.
Oh, it's not even just a
whatsoever.
suggestion. It's a contingency of, I'll only do this if you meet me on this, God.
And I've struggled with that for years. I've always considered my relationship with God transactional. I'll do this if you do this. And I learned the hard way. That it doesn't work that way. God is not a transactional God.
Yeah.
Right? But yeah, that's something that's just always,
Yeah. Well, and it's difficult because we're throwing around words that are not clearly defined.
Yeah.
Because that's even why at the beginning I was just like, I didn't know the right label for this blueprint, for this video of like, sure, it's your calling in life, and we'll break this down more in the blueprint, but it's difficult because we have combined a lot of words and a lot of meanings.
Yeah.
And because of that, it's really confusing for us to actually understand a lot of this. And before we actually get to the blueprint of this, not even the big thing, but like a piece of this that's really important to talk about is the fact that in the Bible, there is clearly a call and a purpose for human beings. And there's a general version of that, but then there's also a really specific version or a specific individual one for that as well. Because God creates us, obviously each one of us is a human being, but also very intricately for each one of us. And at the very beginning of the Bible, we read in Genesis how God created Adam. Some very ambitious things, a very big call in his life of go name all the animals, be fruitful, multiply, tend to the land. Kind of a crazy thing. Like,
very.
Especially like we still to this day haven't named all the animals.
Yeah.
There's still loads of species and things that we haven't even completed one of the first things God gave us to do. And even with that, we see that as soon as he allows sin to enter into the world, and as soon as he makes that choice of, I don't want this relationship with God, the actual curse comes upon the land, comes upon our calling, comes upon what happens, that there is more difficulty now. There's more confusion. There's these questions of, well, what specifically, or how do I do this, or why am I? There's all of this issue that sin has brought into it that makes it unclear for us. And then whenever we see Jesus come into this earth, he comes in with such a level of clarity, such a level of focus, and then from that renews the world back to a spot where he brings purpose back to our lives. Yeah. So if we don't at least first be able to put the foundation of this to understand, sin screwed this thing up. This is not like, we have to recognize there's major problems that exist.
Yeah.
If you have issues trying to figure out what are you supposed to do with your life, how am I supposed to do with, why does it feel like God's not talking to me, all this stuff, first and foremost, that's just a result of sin.
Yeah.
That's just a result of, everybody deals with that. Doesn't matter if you're following God or not.
Yeah.
Everybody's questioning that. The issue comes with the next spot of how do we actually respond to that? And that's why we created a blueprint for this. And so for anybody watching this as well, we're going to have an actual blank version of this for you to be able to fill in. And as we go through, as we talk about this, I'll kind of answer some of my stuff. You can throw in some of your things of
for sure.
Here's how I feel in this, here's how I feel in this part and all this. What we're going to do is we're going to start from the outside in. So the whole way that this blueprint works is there's 4 rings as far as how the blueprint for your calling, which again, there might be a better label for it. I don't know. We'll figure something else out that sounds real quippy and cool. I don't know. But it's 4 rings, and from this is just there to help you be able to separate what goes where so that things don't get confusing. We'll kind of even talk through how they get confusing and messed up as they go. But the outer ring, which is, again, this is what I call it, the outer ring. This is where people stop most of the time. The outer ring is just the assignment ring, which is the what.
Yeah.
Assignment for me is to plant a church in New York City. I have to release this on myself sometimes to be able to say, that's not my calling in life. That is a really specific assignment that God gave me. If I get to the place where I don't plant this church, guess what? I'm still a human being.
Yeah.
If this church gets started and it fails, guess what? It's not like my calling in life was solely this one thing and this one spot. It's
forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But a lot of us, we're looking for something very simple as in just an assignment, and we really conflate that with and this assignment is my purpose. No, listen, if you've been in school before, you know you have assignments that
every day
that are just why am I doing this? And it's it leads to something, but it's not that's the one reason why you're there.
Yeah.
So my assignment that I've had different assignments. My assignment was, at one point in my life, was to graduate high school.
Yeah.
My assignment at one point was to graduate college. My assignment at one point was I needed to change diapers of this little kid, which was not a fun assignment. I can just say.
Can't even imagine.
It wasn't a fun. I'm good at it. I have the skills for it now.
Yeah.
No, I mean they're not doing anything, but that was an assignment, and it's just the hard part is if I'm not able to identify an assignment versus just even a purpose, what we'll get into soon. I put more weight on certain things than I don't need to.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, when you see that outer ring for assignment, what jumps out at you with that?
So I love what you said, with school, we always have an assignment, whether it's due today, tomorrow, whatever the case is. But I may be wrong in the way that I say this, but I'm going to just say it. Our assignment is not our purpose, right? An assignment is something that God is sending you to do. For you, it's to plant the church.
Yeah.
Right? That's not the purpose
Right.
of your life. It can be, but I think it's just an assignment.
Well, the assignments change.
They do.
And that's a hard part to understand because there's some people that they get one assignment and that becomes their whole life.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's me.
What's that assignment for you? What was that first thing where you got oh, this was my assignment? How would you articulate that?
I mean, are we talking career-wise, or are we just talking So I've always been the type of person that I have to just go all in with the one thing. So whatever that one thing is.
Well, what's one of those things?
Well, my one thing, is photography.
Okay.
I have made.
And he's a great one.
I am an okay one, according to myself. But anyways, yeah. So my I guess purpose has been wrapped in what I'm able to produce visually.
Yeah.
Right. And I've poured every ounce and every being mentally, emotionally, physically into that. Right. And has it gotten me some places? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, there's still that what if for me right now.
Sure.
Is that what if fill in the blank, right? Whatever that looks like. But yeah, I always say, I feel like photography at times could be my kryptonite because it's am I gifted with it? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But there's times where I make that my God. You know what I'm saying?
Which happens with the assignment. It becomes an idol where even to the point whenever you hear people talk, if I ask you, what do you do for a living? The response back is never, rarely if ever, oh, I work in this industry or I do this.
Yeah.
It's always, hey, what do you do for a living? I'm a...
Fill in the blank.
But that's a statement that's not saying this is what I do. This is a statement that says this is what I am.
Yeah.
And a lot of us, the assignment is where our personality stands on.
Yeah.
And the issue is assignments change so easily and so quickly. And I have to be okay with that.
Yeah. See, I'm not okay with that.
Why? Well, what's the...
Because it goes back to control.
Sure.
Everything has to be I'm a planner, so everything has to
Yeah.
I want things a certain way. I see things a certain way.
Yeah.
And I do think there's a time and a place for it.
Sure.
Where I struggle with that is I put that on God. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, well, it gets worse once you dig into the types of assignments God gives.
Yeah.
Because when I look at the Bible, I see an assignment that Jesus got that I know I couldn't actually do myself.
Oh, I would.
I couldn't.
Yeah. No.
I would not be able to. Okay, just a few things with Jesus. Would I be able to live in a spot where for 30 years nobody knew who I was?
Yeah.
That's a
Talk about isolation.
yeah. Let alone to just leave all the comfort.
Yeah.
Okay, and how about the fact that Jesus' assignment, where it's obviously to restore humanity to himself, but even that, there's this assignment within that requires him to be whipped 39 times,
Yeah.
to have a crown of thorns on his head,
And then nailed.
Yeah, to be nailed, to have to carry that cross.
And they're not a home improvement type of nail.
No.
I mean,
those are like train track,
like industrial type of nails.
So understanding the fact that
And was pierced. You can't forget he was pierced. On top of everything else that
mocked,
happened.
ridiculed, like it wasn't just a physical pain. There was like the social and spiritual, emotional, everything that was on him.
Yeah.
That to look at that and go, that's a type of assignment that God could give me, where I could literally have to give up my life.
Yeah.
And I've only been in like a situation that was almost to that level where I was like, oh, okay, this might be the end. And now, even kind of trying to reframe it all to go, okay, am I okay with the fact that the assignment God gives me doesn't always have to be fulfilling? That is a very difficult, there's like this.
That's a loaded question.
Well, how is it loaded?
Oh, you put me on the spot. You put me on the spot. I mean.
Well, it's just, there's an expectation that if this is an assignment God gives me, I'm going to like it.
Yeah.
No,
not at all.
You might like it at some points. You might like it after the fact, that's
you might like it for a day, and it's like, okay, now what?
Yeah. I wake up I said to somebody today, they were like, how are you feeling about stuff with the church? And I'm like, I go back and forth at least a couple times a day where I'm like, I can't do this. I don't have this in me.
See, like, it's so good to know I'm not the only one that thinks like this.
Oh, okay.
Right?
I'm glad to know I'm not crazy.
No, because I think that's true, right? It's like, I feel like sometimes people think we have it all figured out. Like, okay, you came from Pittsburgh.
I'm clueless.
You felt this assignment from God. You're going to plant the church. You have your entire life together.
It sounds like that on paper.
But yeah. But they don't see the back and forth and the daily conversations of, hey, yeah, this is, I don't know, it's 10 o'clock in the morning. I feel this way. And by 5 p.m., it's like, well, can I really do that?
Yep.
You know? That's what I struggle with. I struggle with a lot. Like if you know, but
we have to
I think
normalize that though.
Yeah, but it's for me, it's the same thing where it's like I'll wake up and I'm like, boom, I'm gonna do this, and I have like my entire goal planned out, and by the time dinner time comes, I'm like, what was I thinking this morning? Why was I thinking that? Was it God? Did I really hear God? It wasn't me. Am I in my own head again? It's like, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like the enemy loves when we get in that, like that mindset of, oh, he's confused again. I got him right where I want him. Or she's confused. I got her right where I want her.
It's very sad to think about that.
Yeah.
That there are people that have probably been following Jesus or attempting to follow Jesus for a significant amount of time, and because there's situations that come up that are difficult, that are painful, that are ones where you're like, oh, that does not feel anywhere close to what I thought it would feel like.
Yeah.
Because of that, we just give up and we walk away.
Yeah.
And that is not a mindset that you'd put anywhere else. And I'm saying that to say there are some people that are too invested and try so much harder on trying to get a girl to text back.
Yeah.
Or are trying to get a job interview, or are like, I will make sure that I don't care if it's difficult. I'm going to make sure that I get what I want. There's got to be a level of sacrifice that we're willing to say, God, if this is what you want, if this is a specific assignment you have given me, even if I'm not fulfilled in it, even if there's an aspect of it that feels inconvenient, difficult, painful, I can still be obedient and follow you, because the metric feels, in my opinion, like I've seen too many people that walk away because they're like, I just don't think God would want me to be feeling any type of difficulty or feel like I'm not being fulfilled. It's like, no, he might exactly want you to feel that.
Yeah.
He might actually want you to feel all these emotions come up so that he's able to deal with them. Because he might want you to go through some difficult situations, not ones that break you, but ones that open you up so that things come to the surface that he's able to heal.
Yeah.
I've seen that through my own life. I just moving out here in the first year and a half, where I left everything Whenever you don't have your framework of how you see yourself, then God starts to bring it up and say, okay, this person's no longer around. They don't get to say who you are.
Yeah.
I'm the one who gets to say that.
I love that.
That was difficult.
Yeah.
That wasn't easy. But I look at that, I'm like, I'm so grateful.
Yeah.
Now I get to be me to the truest sense.
Yeah. Not Pittsburgh.
Not Pittsburgh. Okay. That's the first ring though. It's just assignment. Now the goal of this, we get deeper with this. The second ring, the first ring, I kind of have like, there's words that go with it, and kind of the idea with the first ring with assignment is we're talking about the what. Okay, like what specifically am I doing? The second ring, before I even say what the thing is, I just want to say this is the how. This is okay, so I have an assignment. Okay, we go deeper. How am I responding to the assignment? And this one is the energy to which I approach it. I'm stewarding and completing that which God is directing me to do. And this is a section that really hits on a lot of our character. And there's a thing that has to happen in the middle between the assignment and the purpose that God has, our calling, our why. It's the how. And typically that middle spot doesn't really get hit as well as it needs to.
Yeah.
And my issue that I run into, and we talked about this, so I want to try my best not to come across very arrogant and egotistical. Whenever it comes to how this functions in church, we have different things that we're okay with saying, and then certain things we tried to veer away from saying.
Yeah.
Because, and regardless of what label you put on top of it, it really comes down to what's happening underneath. Mm-hmm. And there has been a lot of churches that we use the word excellence. Yeah. As far as you having a call from God, you want to respond to that with excellence.
They love to throw that word around.
I love the heart of that. I think there's a lot of people that have a genuine heart, but then there's a lot of times where that just kind of gets used as a filler word.
Yeah.
Of just do it your best.
Yep.
And this matters. Excellence is something that's visible.
Yeah.
Excellence is something that's seen. There's kind of like a brand with it of like, we're going to do things that are excellent. And I don't know that it started necessarily in a spot that's bad, but I think it has slowly veered off from a biblical, even a character thing that we're afraid to talk about in church, which is ambition. I'll say this. When I moved out to New York, I remember meeting with some pastors and they were talking about ambition, and they were like, you think ambition's from the devil? They're like, you think ambition, like, you think that was just some easy thing? Go name all the animals? You think God's not ambitious? Like, go make disciples over where? The entire planet. You think God's not ambitious? Specific,
but the entire planet, why don't you?
He said, I want you to start here, then I want you to go to the country. Do the whole world.
Yeah.
Like, as if God's not ambitious.
Yeah.
And ambition, for the most part, sure, there's visible parts to it, but ambition speaks to something deeper. And the Bible does use the word ambition multiple times, and it does talk about negative ambition, but we haven't then been able to flip that and say there's some positive ambition and some healthy ambition, godly ambition that a lot of people are missing, where there's an assignment, but then it's a question of how am I going to respond to it?
Yeah.
What's cooking in there?
Nothing. That's just, yeah.
It just, I feel like I've seen too many people where when it comes down to the assignment that God puts on us, there has to be a level of our response to it.
Yeah.
So when I got the initial, hey, Colin, you're going to go start a church in New York City, my first thing, and maybe this was a little bit out of fear, but it was a lot more out of, I want to be able to be prepared for this. My first response was not to move to New York City. My first response was, I'm going to go get like some education.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to Bible school.
Right.
I'm going to talk with I'm going to get some experience. The first thing I did in Pittsburgh was I was at a new campus that was launching. So I was learning how do we do something from the ground up.
Yeah.
And then even when I was working full time, it was, okay, how am I building things? How am I taking care of a team on a larger scale than what I was previously? There's not often, and I get afraid sometimes whenever I see this, is people get a call from God, and the opposite of what I'd say, kind of like in the ambition, in the excellence category, is recklessness and a lot of impulsivity.
So what do you mean by recklessness?
I mean is there's a lot of people who God has called to be evangelists that have not learned how to communicate. And because of that, I've talked with people, and the hard reality is this, is that we need people that are communicating the gospel. And instead of people learning how to communicate well, how to communicate on an emotional level, how to be able to see and have a genuine conversation and develop a relationship, they go out on the streets and they start standing there with a microphone yelling things that are unproductive and unhelpful.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying all of them are bad, but I'm saying I've talked to some of these guys that don't go to a church at all.
Yeah.
That because I've been called by God to be an evangelist, and none of these churches preach the gospel correctly. I'm like, who are you helping? What are you actually doing?
Screaming into a microphone.
Yeah, and just
like,
being able to say things like, repent, like what?
Yeah.
They don't know what that word means.
Well, not only that, but now you're instilling, like, there's people that are going to look at that and get super fearful, but then there's people that are going to look at that and their immediate thing is like, Jesus is a joke. You know?
And in so many ways, where the response whenever God calls us can't just be, okay, assignment, go do it.
I wish, though.
That'd be great.
That'd be amazing, but God doesn't work that way.
There's some moments whenever he's been building that up enough with somebody that they have the character and they have the ability to do it.
But what I'm saying is, it's not like saying, hey, this is your assignment. You're not going to be built up. You're just going to go. Like, no, Here's your assignment. You're going to be built up and then you're going to go.
Yeah.
I think we skipped that building phase and it's like, okay, I have an assignment. Now I just want to go straight into it. And it doesn't work that way because you need to build character. Like you said, you need to build like things around that. So God, and in that waiting, that's God's preparation for you.
Exactly.
So when that time comes, it's like, all right, now you're ready, go.
Yeah.
You know?
And this is clear all throughout the Bible.
Yeah.
Like David didn't just go fight Goliath.
No.
What did he fight before that? Lions.
Yeah.
Like, what did Joseph do before he was managing and being second in command of all Egypt? Oh, he was handling people's property. He was handling prisons. Like, all of a sudden, like, you see this pattern of God can give really ambitious goals to people and really big assignments, but it's the requirement of our character to respond in a way that can sustain the assignments.
Yeah.
And if we miss that spot, like, this is an actual key thing where I think a lot of people have heard things from God, seen the assignments, jumped too quickly, went into it without any wisdom to say, if I'm going to be ambitious about this, I should probably prepare.
Yeah.
I should probably get some training. I should probably learn. There's a lot of people, and I'm putting this more so in like a ministry context, but it really works in a lot of other contexts to say like, okay, cool. If God wanted you to make that business, what business experience are you getting? What mentorship are you getting? What education? And I'm not saying like college is the only thing, but there needs to be some type of a step you need to take to get the experience and get education.
It's like you gotta want it.
Which is the thing with ambition.
Yeah, like
you know when it's somebody that's ambitious that they want to not just do it, but they want to do it well.
Yeah. I think we call those people perfectionists, no?
There's an unhealthy level of ambition.
Yeah.
But this is
where everything has to be lined up in order for that person to move.
Which
right?
There's aspects of control to that too.
Yeah.
And there's pieces of that there is unhealthy ambition, unhealthy control. But this has been like the overcorrection.
Yeah.
Where in churches we'll kind of start to say things where like it doesn't matter about the results, it just matters about the people. And it's like, really? Really? It doesn't matter. Okay, cool. Delete planning center.
Yeah.
Good luck. It doesn't matter about the people? Gotcha. Okay. Or it doesn't matter about the results? Like, okay, cool.
There's a technical aspect of it too. It's not, it's just not all one-sided.
We serve a God of organization and a God who is...
We love a God of organization and a God of planning.
People don't want to accept it. God created math.
Yeah. I hate math.
God and I are going to talk about that.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah.
Same.
Okay. So we have the outer ring, the what, where we're able to label our assignments, and the how is really the response where we have to look at it and say for ourselves, how am I going to respond to this?
Yeah.
Like what is, and even for myself, identifying, and I have to do this for myself sometimes, is going, who am I as a person? What are the traits and what are the things that I know are me or the things that aren't me that I need to get better at? What are those things with ambition and the how? And then there's the question of why. This is the calling piece, and this is the fact of the assignment and the calling sometimes get conflated to be the same thing.
Yeah.
They're not. Your calling is actually something that will be with you your entire life. Your assignments might only be there for spots of your life. So there's the identifying the calling part. What has been the What's your journey been like in trying to identifying calling? Because photographer isn't calling.
Where do you? Yeah, well, for now in my brain,
There's something beneath that though.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
what has that journey been like for you?
Oh, it's been hard. It's been super hard. Just trying to figure out why I'm doing what I'm doing, right? How I'm doing it.
That question comes up in the middle of the night, right?
It just keeps me up, honestly.
Yeah.
So just like, I'll go back a little bit. July, I forget what date exactly. I don't know if it was before the 4th, like right in the beginning of July or a little bit after.
Oh, I loved July. That was my favorite month this year.
Was it?
No.
Okay, awesome.
That's a different episode.
So I was sitting in church during the week, and I was working from church. I was by myself, and it was peaceful. And then I took a break, and I was just on, I forget what social I was on. I was on one of the platforms, and there was this quote that came up, and I'm gonna probably butcher it or like paraphrase it. But the quote went like, I finally, like God asked me, it goes, I asked God or Jesus, why are you crying? And it wasn't like a sad cry, but it was like tears of joy where it's like, hey, I'm glad you finally accepted my call. Like that call, and I just broke down, and I'm butchering that quote.
No, I hear that.
But I just broke down, and at that moment, I'm like, this is so much bigger than me. Like, I've always tried to control the outcome. I've always tried to be like, what is it that I'm doing, or why am I doing what I'm doing, or is this really from God? But around that time, I felt the strong call to like creative ministry. Ministry that word has always scared me. Like, I grew up in church, a lot of church hurt, a lot of trauma. My short, 10-second testimony is I was raised in the church, but never went to church because I was forced to go to church. So do with that what you want. But, So yeah, July, I felt this creative call to ministry, literally broke down, and I just remember my answer being yes, however that looked. In the moment, it felt great, because I was like, oh my God, I finally heard Jesus for the first time, an audible, if we're having this conversation right now. And it was that first week or two, it was like a high. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going straight into this. This is what I've been preparing for, doing photography for 7 years, and then just dedicating every single Sunday here at church and just creating content, love what I do.
Yeah.
And then it was just the complete opposite happened. And it was like, okay, God, did I really hear you? Was it me that I saw this quote online, and was that you speaking? Was that me speaking because of the current circumstance that I was dealing with at that precise moment? Was that really you? Did I really hear you? How do you want me to do this? And then why do you want, out of all people, why me? I'm the most, and I know we live in an imperfect world, but we serve a perfect God, right? And I'm like, why me? As much brokenness as I have, as much, what do I have to bring to you that I felt this call? And when I say creative ministry, something that I've learned a few months after I felt that call is creative ministry doesn't necessarily mean church. Because I think we hear that word ministry, and it's we label it oh, it has to be church.
So you put it in a category of different assignments that can take place then.
Yeah.
You're expanding that even past it.
Yeah, because, and again, treading waters with what I'm saying, but ministry is just not church. I'm married.
No, exactly.
My wife is my ministry. That's my first ministry.
Yeah.
My home is my first ministry. Everything else after that is also ministry.
Yeah.
I serve on Sunday. That's ministry. I do photography outside of church, the church wall, the church building. That's ministry.
Right.
How am I stewarding that? How am I using that to glorify God? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the part that gets hard is, did I hear God, or was it just my brain making up a scenario?
Which I want you to keep going, but I also just, with that, there's a lot of there's a lot of people that get to that spot where there's a level of healthy deconstruction that takes place of going, was it just my emotion or was it God? That thinking is whenever we separate and we say, God only speaks to me spiritually and can't speak with my emotions as well.
Yeah.
We serve an emotional God.
Mm-hmm.
God has emotions.
100%.
Just because you hear something from God and also have emotions, like those things can happen all at the same time, and it doesn't mean that God didn't speak.
Yeah.
But there's a lot, and I've seen it too many times of friends that will reduce it and then walk away and say, it was just emotions. Maybe it was emotions.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe God was there too.
Yeah.
Maybe it was both.
Yeah.
Maybe it was actually both and it wasn't just one.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a really important thing to just allow yourself to have exist whenever you're coming to your calling and being able to say, of course there should be emotion around this.
Right.
I don't think whenever God was creating the animals and like back to the very beginning, I don't think God was necessarily like, yeah, just go name the animals.
Yeah.
I think God had a lot more excitement about it.
Yeah.
I think God was probably looking at Adam and was like, okay, so here's this thing. It's got a giant horn coming out of its head.
Yeah.
What do you want to name that?
Exactly.
There's this one. He's got the most ridiculous looking neck. What do you want to name that?
Yeah.
This one, it's kind of like this weird thing that hops all over the place. What do you want to call that?
Right.
This is like a kind of like a frog, but it's like it got. There's loads of things. I have to imagine he was pretty excited about everything he created.
Oh yeah, 100% for that.
But with that, I think we can give ourselves permission that like I'm allowed to have emotion with it.
Yeah.
Okay, but talk to me more about what that's been like, even since that point, and how you're navigating this.
Yeah. So, I mean, personally, my story.
They don't know.
He does.
I don't know who they are, but I know who they are.
But yeah, I mean, for me, it's just the word that always has come to my mind since then, especially like around the October, November, like towards the end of 2025, was obedience.
Okay.
Now, I don't know what that looks like still.
Yeah.
Right. But for me, for what I've been able to kind of like discern and understand is being obedient in a way that God's timing is perfect. Being obedient with where I'm at currently, church-wise, where I'm at in my personal relationships, in my career, whatever that looks like, just being obedient in that. Because in that obedience, God is still working, right? In that obedience, God is building your character and maturing your character. And, so for me, it's just, and I know she's probably going to listen to this, so shout out to my beautiful wife. But she's had such a heavy influence on me, man. Like I could sit here for days and talk about her. But she's helped me, man. She's helped me through some like, hey, no, see it from this perspective. And of course, I used to always take it personal. And I'm like, no, you're not understanding me as your husband. And it's like, I was looking at it in a husband and wife kind of context. And I wasn't looking at it in a way of like, no, this is how you should handle obedience with Jesus. I was looking at it too much of a relationship instead of, no, she's just trying to give me some practical, godly advice. Yes, she's my wife, but right now she's being someone else. She's being that other person that's like, no, you need to build your character more. And she calls me out on it, and I don't take it well, because I'm like, well, you're my wife, and you're supposed to have you're supposed to, right or wrong,
right.
You know what I'm saying? But yeah, she's helped me in ways, man, that I can't even like begin to describe. Yeah. And she's played a vital role, and like I've seen what she does here, like at church, and just the people that she ministers to, and like you can see her heart for Jesus, right? And I'm like, man, I want to be like that. Like I want to be like my wife. I want to love people like my wife does, right? Like I want to minister to people the way that like my wife does. That kind of got a little off track, but it ties in a way of like you can approach that with what's my purpose in life. What's the purpose?
You can't find it alone either. That's the thing you're saying.
But our main purpose in life is to honor God. Like if we're looking at it from a spiritual,
100% agree,
and biblical point of view, our entire purpose as human beings on this earth is to glorify God. Everything else that we put a label on, career, marriage, friendships, those are just all extra. Our main purpose, our main goal is to honor God.
Okay, now, if you've been in church for a while and you hear a statement like that, why would you not like it?
It goes back to that, like, hey, you're calling me out on that.
Well, I don't. There's parts of it that I think you're saying something that's 100% true. I just don't think people necessarily want to hear that, because I think whenever it comes down to our calling in life, there's an aspect of saying, like, could it be that simple? Because I want to feel more special. I want something that's more authentic, that's individualized to me.
Yeah, see, that's where it gets a little difficult.
And that's the thing of, like, when it comes to our calling, there is like I do believe there's like the general, like, yeah, it's to honor God, to glorify Him. Like, that's the chief end goal of man.
Yeah.
And then there's like the caveat on top of that of, like, okay, but I understand that as part of a church, like, we're all unique parts of the body, so there's a unique thing that I'm supposed to do. But even if I haven't identified that unique thing, being able to say, like, on top of that, like, that unique thing falls on top of the foundation that I'm supposed to honor God, it doesn't always feel like enough.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that as in, it's challenging because we're looking for something individualistic most of the time. But the hard part is, in finding our calling, the biggest thing we're looking for is, like, clarity and direction.
Yeah.
And I think the issue that a lot of people end up running into is, whenever they're focusing on their calling, we're asking so many questions to know what. And it's exactly like that thing of, like, we so easily want to throw assignment into calling. Of, my calling in life is not to plant a church in New York City. That is not my calling.
That is an assignment.
The difference is, it's whenever you're looking at a calling, this is kind of like the metric I always like throw at it. Is it a direction or is it a destination? So if it's a destination, you probably are confusing a calling and an assignment. If you look at it and go, this is a direction, I know that it's going to cause movement.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what you said earlier, was when you're looking for your calling, if you're not moving, it's because you don't have your calling.
Yeah.
Honoring God is enough of a calling that I can move just based off of that. Like, if you knew nothing else except I want to honor God, I can think of loads of different things you could do just with that.
Yeah.
But knowing on top of that, okay, there's something specific, which for me is a very general, it feels broad. It might even feel a little bit like my calling in life is exactly that Matthew 28 Great Commission of, Colin, as a person, my calling is I am supposed to make disciples of Jesus.
Yeah.
I can do that whether or not I am a kids pastor in Pittsburgh. I can do that here in New York City. I will do that as a father. I will do that hopefully as a soon-to-be husband, being able to help my wife become more and more like Jesus. My end goal is to help people become more and more like Jesus. And I was not able to articulate that until, like, my third year of college.
Right.
I would say things like, I just really want to help people. And it's like, okay, cool. That's a good place to start. You could do a lot of things with that. And then it was like, as I kept moving, it became more clear of, it's that. That's the specific thing that I want to do. So whenever I say, like, why am I here on this earth? I'm here to make disciples. And I get to do that through this church plant in New York City. And understanding the separation between, like, here's where my calling is, here's where my side, like, I feel like more balanced and, like, healthier as a human being. But that is tricky, trying to separate that, because movement is going to be uncomfortable and movement is going to require you to do that. Move.
So let me ask you a question for, like, because we're talking about calling and assignments, right? And probably some people listening might not understand what exactly those things mean, though. Like, do you think, because I can tell you wholeheartedly, like, mine stems from church trauma, like 100%. Do you think people get the wrong impression with assignment and calling because of the way that they were raised in the church?
I think we got to go to the center ring to answer that question.
Okay.
Because I think you're beating me to it. But
I'm sorry.
No. Yeah. What's your problem? No. And if you're familiar with this, the three rings we've expressed so far are, like, Simon Sinek's, like, golden circle of, like, he'll talk about that of, like, the outer one being why, or the outer one being what you do, how, and then why. And that's more of a business context on, like, how you sell things or just how your brain works. The core of this is a question that has to be asked and answered above any of these other things, which is who.
Yeah.
Because when we're talking about all of these pieces, anybody can take and be able to use that as like okay, there's an assignment, cool, and how I do that is important, and my purpose in life of that question that we all ask, why am I even here on this earth?
Mm-hmm.
But then there's got to be a question that's underneath that, which we're all asking, even if we're asking it passively. The question of why am I put here on this earth is a question that's typically asked to someone or something. And most of the time people will put it on like the universe.
Yeah.
The issue that we run into is saying, who is the very center of my existence, of why I'm even put here with a purpose, how I'm going to respond to it, and what I'm going to do.
Mm-hmm.
Who's at the center of that?
Yeah.
And the issue is there are a lot of people that I think if we were able to really dig into it, we would hear people's stories where they would say things as far as, yeah, I felt called into ministry, I felt called to be a pastor, and I felt called, and this specific pastor that I was serving under was the one that my whole calling was based on. Because there's people that will look at, and I've seen this with youth students where they will, and I've had certain ones that have like been like, man, I want to be like you when I grow up, and I'm like, I don't want to be like me now.
Yeah.
Like,
Not at all.
That's great, but what happens if that pastor or that person that you looked up to, what happens inevitably, because they will fail.
Yeah.
And whether or not it's like some giant moral failure, what happens if...
Or they let you down.
Yeah, exactly. They didn't text you back soon enough.
Yeah.
What are you going to do, and how are you going to process through the fact that for some people it's your pastor, for other people it's that calling and that assignment? Like this is something we saw in Disney Channel movies over and over again of like, man, the reason you want to be that basketball star, I'm sorry, I'm getting a High School Musical here for a second. The reason he wanted to be a basketball star was because his dad wanted him to be a basketball star. His whole reason why he was going to college and everything, like there's so many times where we're not aware of the very person that is probably the loudest and most important pivotal voice where our calling rests on, and it rests on a relationship.
Yeah.
We are relational human beings. There is no way that you get to separate all these pieces away from it. That is why when the relationship with God broke, our calling and all these other pieces broke too. So whenever we repair our relationship with Jesus, all these other pieces now get healing as well.
Yeah.
So if my like understanding and the center of this is flawed and messed up, especially on the person, like that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know if that fully answered the question, but it's
No, yeah, it did. It did.
because that's it's unfortunate. I've seen it too many times where people don't know who the calling came from.
Yeah.
Who's the one who gave the calling?
It's like, who's the one that gave the okay or the green light?
Yeah.
Was it Jesus or was it myself? You know, and I think that's a question that even I still wrestle with, was like, okay, God, did I actually hear you? Or was it just, you know, because when we go through certain circumstances, like, because life's at us hard, it's like we all make emotional decisions. So was it what I was feeling emotionally? Was it an actual true call?
Yeah.
One thing I can say to it, and this is how I know it's God, is that it's been bothering at my heart. Like it's almost been like nudging, like, hey, you know.
There's a person there that's communicating that to you. Yeah.
I think if it was me that felt and not God, I think those emotions would have disappeared within like a few weeks.
Yeah.
But the fact that I'm feeling the same exact way months later has to tell me something.
Yeah, I have cravings all the time. Cravings end.
Yeah.
Callings, and especially, and that word calling is kind of like a very normal church word, but it's just the same way of saying like God communicating to say something and put something even deeper on our lives, on our soul, where we're able to have a weight and a burden that's just more than just a level of, hey, go do this exact thing.
Yeah.
There's just something that's weightier on us to respond to. And this isn't, I know we're using a lot of like church context with this. Not everybody is called to be a pastor or to do something specifically inside of like
I'm definitely not called to be a pastor. That I know.
And
know.
That's total. And the thing is, not everybody is supposed to be, and that doesn't reflect anything as far as value. There's nothing that's like, oh, I'm called to be a pastor. That makes me better. Like, no, like
I don't know.
it doesn't. Like
It doesn't make you more spiritual than it does me.
There are people that I have met that are not in ministry that are more spiritual and more connected to Jesus than some pastors that I know.
Yeah.
Which is a really like, that messes with my head sometimes to think about that, but to just
Because it's like you're a pastor, you're supposed to be like,
peak spiritual
you're supposed to
leader.
be closer to God.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
and
like
it's-
you're supposed to have God on speed dial.
Yeah, you know how it is. Yeah. But it's unfortunate that it kind of gets to that spot when in reality, God, for every single human being that exists, God has a really specific thing that he made for them. And it's not something that happens outside of relationship with him, where I think the calling for sometimes, I remember there were certain moments whenever I would think through, okay, God, you told me to do this, and now I'm questioning it, and I'm wondering, like, can I still do it? And depending on your understanding or your whatever of God, it can be this thing where, again, it comes back to that creator, that last circle of who, to know that the person who made you and designed you has really been walking with you the whole time.
Yeah.
And sometimes we treat it like they're a school teacher where they're sitting there and we're sitting down with the test and we're going, I wonder if I can pass this.
Yeah.
And that's not the case. God is walking with us arm in arm, wanting to see us be able to succeed in the things that he wants us to do and made us to do.
I don't think there's, well, how can I say that? I don't think there's one person that exists that wants to see us succeed more than Jesus does.
Do you have that in the back of your head most days? Because I don't.
No.
That's a tough reality to accept, like an important one to accept.
Yeah, there's some days where I'm like, okay, like I know God wants what's best for my life.
Yeah.
But to be like, oh yeah, if nobody else believes in me, Jesus does, absolutely not. And I think that's human nature.
Oh yeah.
Like,
because you might think your wife is like your biggest supporter, and no shit on her, but no comparison to the level to which Jesus is been your biggest fan and has been wanting to help you out and getting you to the spot.
Yeah, since the beginning of time.
Yeah.
It's
even before you were created.
Yeah.
He was thinking about you and going like,
yes, he can do that, or she can do that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But to go inside with that, when sin entered the world, that's where everything got flipped.
And that's where people start taking that foundation piece of who, and because of that, it messes everything up. Yep. And then you'll have some of these. I think there's a lot of people that have, unfortunately, deconstructed because their calling was not built on Jesus. Yeah. It was built on another leader, another person, another parental relationship. How much
success can I have? How much money can I make?
Yep.
Yeah.
All that stuff on the affirmation of other people. And whenever that stuff, we realize that foundation crumbles, everything else crumbles with it.
Yeah.
And the thing is, even with Jesus,
it's like you're building your life on a Jenga block.
Yeah.
Where you're just kind of like pooling and then just kind of
100%. And
all it takes is that one, and everything within seconds, it's destroyed.
The thing is, and I've had to get to this spot where, again, like, and I said this earlier, like, so the church that we're planting, if that thing fails, if inside of that, I'm like, crap, I didn't do a good enough job with this, and even, man, am I even like cut out for this thing? If all of those pieces, like if the assignment, if the ambition, if the calling, if everything feels like it's like crumbling, but my foundation is on Jesus, guess what? I still can move forward.
Yeah.
If I don't have that as the core of my life, then I am subject to anything being able to take me down.
Yeah.
There is not anything that is, life is pretty brutal and life is pretty tough. And regardless of whether you feel like you've got a clear thing of you're doing or not, if that thing is not on Jesus, you're probably at some point or another going to crumble.
Yeah.
It's just a reality. Yeah.
And fast.
Yeah. And it's just a sad reality of it, but it also just points to the fact of, man, with Jesus, though, it makes it a livable life for us.
Yeah.
And so to recap all of this for a second, though, like with the blueprint, like I'll say this for myself because I wrote this down even in like those circles for me. Like my assignment or what I'm doing is planting Freedom Church. The level of ambition and character I'm having with that is to have a level of grit and perseverance, and I want to do that with humility and teachability. Teachability is a word, right?
I want to say yeah, because we did a series on it.
I want to say yeah too.
Teachability.
That sounds
or
right.
Teachable. No,
I don't know,
teachable.
put that in the comments if it's
I
not.
don't know.
My calling in life is to make disciples, and my creator is Jesus. And seeing that and being able to kind of look at all of those pieces gives me the ability to go, okay, I have clarity. I don't have control, but I have clarity, and that gives me a level of peace to be able to say I don't have everything figured out.
Yeah.
There's question marks all over the place on this
Yeah.
whole thing.
Yeah.
But what I'm not confused about is, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
Why was I put here? I have a level of clarity to look and go, I have enough to at least take some steps forward now.
Yeah.
And that's
And I think you learn
That's
along
the
the
goal.
way, right? Like,
grow along the way too.
what am I supposed to do? You know, you're planting Freedom Church. You know, what am I supposed to do? I don't know. I'm still trying to figure it out, right? But just don't stop. Like, just keep moving.
Yeah.
Like, everything will fall into place. And I think I was sharing this with you too. God allows us to try things. Like,
Yes, he does.
Whether he puts something on your heart, whether it's like, hey, you have this idea. I don't think like God is like, okay, Colin, you're gonna be a pastor, but that's the only thing like you're gonna like. Probably before that, you tried some stuff.
Yeah.
You were like, no, I don't think I'm qualified to plant the church. And out of
Still
all
don't.
places, New York City, I'm gonna go try something different. God is like, okay, you can go
Sure.
ahead. But you're still gonna come back to
Yeah,
where I
exactly.
want you, right?
Yeah.
And I think we all struggle with that, where it's like God allows us to try it, but then we still come back.
Yeah.
And I do believe there's power in whatever keeps drawing you back is exactly where God wants to use you, to mold you, to build you, and just use you like in ways that you can't even imagine.
Yeah. Honestly, this has been a great conversation. And I just want to even, kind of the last thing that I even just want to leave all of us with is just the recognition of the Bible in the Old and New Testament starts off with stories of people that were getting a calling from God or trying to understand all of this and navigate this. And it was very much later on in their lives where they finally saw this. And that's not to say that we can't see things earlier in our lives.
Yeah.
But that's to recognize the fact that we serve such a patient God
Yeah.
that even when we think we have missed things to take place, even in those cases, like it's biological things that they have passed the line of like,
Yeah.
you're too old for this to happen. Like, you're not. And so I want to say that, especially if you are hearing this and you're thinking I have missed a spot, or especially because I hope we have some people on here that are older and more seasoned in life. That is where God began with a lot of people.
Yeah.
That's where their stories pick up, is at the later points of their life, whenever he started to do some miraculous and amazing things. We really do serve a God who created time as in control of it. And because of that, we can have a lot of confidence and a lot of peace.
Yeah.
Just to know that we haven't missed it. We haven't completely abandoned it to a point where God is saying, I don't want you to do anything with this anymore. I think there's a lot of people, and I hope this is that a lot of us are able to hear this, look back, and very similar to whenever I was in that spot where I was like, I just want to give up on this. I don't want to do it. I can tell you on the other side, sure, does it require some sacrifice? There's nothing that beats the moments whenever you're sitting across from somebody and you're going, had I not done this, there was something that somebody else would have missed out on.
Yeah.
It was worth it. So
Yeah. And the last thing I'll add to that is, if you do feel a call from God, if you do feel whatever that looks like creatively, whatever that call looks like, don't just sit in there.
yeah,
Don't just like, okay, God, this is what I feel, but then I'm going to scroll on Netflix or I'm going to scroll
Sure,
social media.
sure.
Like, actually be intentional about tapping in. Okay, God, this is what
yeah,
I feel like you've spoken to me. Can you show me some ways that I can start to walk in that?
yeah,
You know?
yeah.
And I think once that mindset shifts like that, you'll be unstoppable,
That's right.
you know?
Yeah.
However that looks.
God's got a calling and a plan and an assignment for your life. So we hope this blueprint is able to help you out. And we're here to help you as you're navigating following Jesus, because, again, the ultimate goal is that I live the life God intended the way he intended it for it to be. So we hope
right.
this helps you out a lot.